Welcome back, everybody, to WTC Collector Series. Tony and I are very pleased to welcome from Atlanta, Georgia, the one and only Joey Graben. Now, for you guys that don't know who Joey is, you're going to know by the end of this episode. He's what we call, and it's funny, when we were at the National, if you recall, Tony, I introduced Drake on the panel as our big game hunter, our heavy hitter. But in actual fact, you want to get real about it, there's two other names that have to be in the discussion. One of them, of course, is Uncle Danny Andrews, and the other one is this gentleman that we have the pleasure of sitting with today, Joey Graben.
The original, by the way.
Yeah,
the original.
The word on the street is that, if you want a card and Joey wants a card, you ain't getting it. So,
you ain't getting it.
No. So early advice to everybody is find out what this gentleman collects and go collect something else. Because he's the guy that's going to win the auctions, and we're going to talk about his incredible collection, some really, really special pieces.
Thank God he ain't a Loomis collector. Jesus.
Yeah, exactly. Let's get started, Joey. Thank you very much for joining us today here.
My pleasure.
Let's talk about wrestling in general, then we'll get into card collecting and that end of it. How long have you been a wrestling fan, and what got you into it? All that stuff.
I'll be 47 in a couple of weeks. I can remember back when I was 3 years old. That's how far my memories go back. And they were all like every Saturday, 6:05, Channel 17, Georgia Championship Wrestling. I can remember from 79 on. It was just, it was always in my life. It was how I was always either watching it with my grandfather or my dad, and it was family time. Georgia Championship Wrestling here, I grew up in Douglasville, which is a little west of Atlanta. Okay. And oh my God, it was our everything. We went to shows at the Omni. We went to local shows at the Douglas County Armory. I've been watching wrestling. It's probably the biggest thing in my life, that's been consistent throughout my 46, almost 47 years. Always. Some of these guys get into wrestling, in the 90s or whatever. Nah, I'm a Gordon Soley guy. I'm a Tommy Wildfire Rich guy. I'm a Buzz Sawyer guy. Dusty Rhodes. Those are wrestling is life, man. That's.
Has there ever been a point in time as a wrestling fan that you it kind of took a back seat?
Oh yeah, of course.
I'll give
you the same exact answer everybody else will. In high school, when I found girls, wrestling took a little bit. What's funny is it took a little bit of a back seat, but I still watched every Monday night, both shows, but again, it did take a little bit of a back seat in high school. But then that's kind of when, for me, I graduated high school in 96. That's when it was blowing up. That's when Monday nights were just, you couldn't miss it. So, I was still going to shows at the Dome, anytime either company was in Atlanta, we would still win, but I was probably less dedicated then,
So the girls you dated had to know you were a wrestling fan then. So
oh my God, they did. because believe it or not, somehow I would always find a way to watch Nitro or Raw. Mostly Nitro at first, because and I've said this to guys before, I hated WWF growing up. I hated them. To me, when Black Saturday happened, dude, I was heartbroken. I was just heartbroken because, Freddie Miller's on the TV, and then this Vince McMahon guy walks out, and it's not the same. It was not good. So I don't remember how I was wrapping this story around, but yeah, love some wrestling.
it was very similar for me as well. We didn't have WWE originally. We had Mid-South, and I'm
we did.
A few years older than you. It was the same kind of thing. I grew up watching the Four Horsemen and Dusty and Soley and all that stuff. And of course, what happened with the Tunnies up here, it was that once they did the deal with Vince, that was it. We didn't get WCW. We didn't get any of that stuff anymore. And it was all WWE. It was like they flipped a switch. But it was during the Hulkamania run. So it was, obviously a classic time in wrestling.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. So what did you think, how did you feel when you went from WCW or NWA to WWF? Because it was so different back then. Wildly different.
Yeah, I was a kid, right? I was young, and it was interesting because I knew some of the names from before, guys like Steamboat were on the NWA product that came
Yeah.
in the sort of classic era of Vince. But it was such a fun run, that Hogan run, that first. Well, I mean, what a run from '84 to like
Yeah, no, absolutely.
6 years. So for me, it was the same thing. I mean, high school came around. I was playing in a band at that time, so music sort of took a back seat to wrestling for a little bit. But like you, it sort of always floated back in,
Yeah.
and like you, I got into cards early, and that was probably the two things sort of working together. The fact that I was collecting kept me tied to wrestling, and the fact that I enjoyed wrestling kept me wanting to go buy more cards. So tell us about that. What was your first set, Joey, and what got you rolling in that?
Well, okay, so like I initially started collecting baseball cards in 1980. I'm sorry. Well, okay, 86. That was my first year buying. It's crazy. I'm sitting here thinking, but I remember buying 85, probably the 85 WWF set was my first set because that was the first wrestling cards I ever seen. After that, I bought 86 Topps football and baseball. And honestly, I didn't think about wrestling cards too much for a long time. Like I remember getting some Wonderama cards. Remember seeing, the classic WWF. Like I think classic was started here in Atlanta. A buddy of mine's dad was actually really tied into it. But point is, and when I was 13 years old, like I was doing card shows with a buddy of mine. That's how we made our extra money. I mean, that's how we bought our school clothes, doing card shows. So collecting cards it's been a big part of my life. I mean, for the longest time. So I'd say probably 86 is when I really started going hard. Didn't collect. I've sold my collection so many times back then, and when I kind of got to around 2000, I'd say probably around 2010, I was just starting to get back into wrestling. Okay. I want to say that's right before WWE was doing WrestleMania here in Atlanta. And I kind of started getting back into it. And when the first thing we do as adults, when we start having disposable income, you want to start going and buying stuff from your childhood. And I don't know how I found the 82A Bruiser Brody card. I guess just, searching for him on eBay. And because I didn't even know he had any cards, to be honest. And I bought one. That was the first Wrestling All-Stars card I ever bought. And I probably sometime around 2010 and didn't give it a second thought at the time. Okay. And I had a buddy who he was training at the time to be a wrestler. He was training at WWA4, which is Mr. Hughes. I don't know if it's still around, but it was Mr. Hughes School here in Atlanta. And so me and him, we started getting together every Monday, watching the shows. We went to WrestleMania that year. And I don't know when I found the rest of the Wrestling All-Stars. Okay. But somewhere along that time, like I started buying all of them, like everyone I saw, just because I'm like, this is ridiculously cool. All of these guys who I grew up watching, I didn't even know these cards existed. And somewhere along that early timeline, I found the SMR that David Peck was in. Okay. And I've told this story before. Like when I first read the article, I thought Dave came off very arrogant. Okay. At least that's how he came off to me. Now, again, since, my opinion has changed, Dave's a good guy. But I decided at that point that I wanted to try to, I'm like, who is this guy? He's got the best sets. I'm going to try to catch him. And it's been a chase that's lasted, still going on to this day, so there you go.
So you obviously answered one of my questions already, was if you collect anything else, and it sounds like you did baseball cards. Do you still collect anything else besides wrestling now? Are you still after baseball?
Let me tell you something. Okay, brother, listen. Okay, so do I collect anything else? I collect everything else, and I'm not, jack of all trades, master of hopefully maybe a couple, but like, I mean, no, man, listen, I collect vintage music posters. Like I've been buying those for probably close to 10 years. And I mean, like posters from like this back as far as the 50s, 60s, 70s. I collect screen use movie props. let's see, baseball, football, game worn jerseys. I mean, my God, man. I mean, seriously, like everything. Like,
You are a collector's collector.
yeah, my home is like, it's everything that I've ever loved. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and I mean everything. And there's stuff everywhere, man. Like I've probably got the least organized collection, because some of you guys, man, I see the way your stuff is organized and I'm just blown away, because I've got stuff. I mean, my house is 6,500 square feet and it's packed to the brim. I've got 2 different offices where I've got stuff at. Like, I mean,
Guy goes to make coffee in the morning. It's like, oh, sorry, there's just an extra pair of 83 All-Stars sitting right there. Didn't even know it was there.
I mean, like, okay, so seriously, like this morning, like right before I got on, I was going through a stack of stuff on my desk behind me, and I found like all of these old concert tickets that I don't even remember when I bought them. I'm talking about like tickets from like Metallica's first tour.
They have value now, these things.
Yeah. I mean, and it just, that's the thing with me is I bought so much stuff, man. And some of it just gets put away. I mean, it gets put away and you forget about it and buy the same stuff over and over again. But it's fun.
You gotta do some organization. You gotta appreciate the stuff that you got, because that's going to lead me right into something right now, which is, and I know that Paul wants to talk about it too, which is, I'm looking right behind you.
Yep.
And I see the beautiful pieces hanging on your wall, which they should be on your wall. Those are pieces of art. You have so much great stuff. It boggles my mind as someone who suffers from OCD that I have to have these things all put in a certain order. You should have them put in orders like that. But that piece behind you, you took the time to frame it, obviously put it behind you. And, I mean, Paul, I mean, let's get into that.
Let's take a step back on that, because I want to go through the entire thing of how you acquired the uncut All-Star sheets that are sitting behind you. So everyone that's watching over Joey's shoulder, you got the Wrestling All-Stars in 3 uncut sheets. And the story goes like this. One day my phone rings, and it's a very nice young lady from Michigan named Dawn Bowles. And she said that she's been following the Wrestling Card Price Guide for some time, and she has something that she thinks might be special. Can she talk to me about it? And I absolutely. And it ends up being uncut All-Star sheets. I'm like, no fucking way. The only ones I've ever seen are David Peck's. And I was led to believe that they would be the only ones. So I asked, can I please see a picture of them? That day, she sent me 4 or 5 pictures that clearly look legit to me, and I zoomed in on them. And I'm saying, yeah, these are uncut All-Star sheets, but that's not my area of expertise. I mean, I know them like I know a little bit of everything, but let's give Tony a call. Let's give David Peck a call and just say for sure before I start talking seriously. So I spoke with Tony, I spoke with David. We determined that it was a real deal. Now, when she reached out for a price, I told her, look, dear, I can't begin to tell you what they'd fetch on market. And if 2 people want them, and one of those guys is Joey Graben, you're going to get a lot of money. So I recommended to her that she go to market with them and not eBay. And when I said that, she was already aware of Heritage, because Tony has a connection at Heritage, and he was kind enough to offer that contact that he has up to her, because this guy would have actually handheld her through the process and kept an eye on the auction and made sure that she was getting plumb positioning and all that. Just as a favor to Tony, he'd offered to do that for us. But she'd already made contact with Heritage, and I said, oh, great. If you're going to go with someone, you go with Heritage or Golden or PWCC. And away it went. Now, the story of them, and I don't know, Joey, how much you know about them, given that you paid big money for them, but her father, and I don't recall his name, he was involved with Big Time Wrestling. And Big Time Wrestling was that Detroit-based organization that had George Cannon, Sheik, Bobo Brazil, those kinds of names. But he was a photographer, and he often did wrestling events. He helped with ticketing, and he was associated with the guy that put out the All-Star set, the very guy that conceived of it. And I guess because of that connection, and he didn't actually take the pictures, he didn't actually design the set, but he was on the scene, let's just say, as a sort of behind the scenes guy with that organization, that he ended up getting one of, I guess, the 3 or 2 sets. And then that's the story. And then she went to market, and I don't even recall what you paid for them. It was definitely 5 figures.
Yeah.
Like, I think it was around 16,000,
17, yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
Take us
again,
through your thought process of once you saw them, you knew you had to have them, and then what does that mean to your pocketbook?
okay,
and
I'm
for
just
the
gonna be
rest of
honest
the-
with you. This is not to sound arrogant. I'm really not trying to, but when I found out they existed, I I always follow Heritage and Golden pretty closely. Like I've sold some things through Golden, you know, very good experiences. I bought a lot of stuff through Heritage and Golden. So I dig both those auction houses. But when I saw them, like they're coming home. Like there's no other choice. And it's, I'm not,
Nobody stood a chance.
no, like I'm not,
That's
and
your
I'm not
reputation,
like,
dude. Like you're known for this.
I don't get attached to the cards too much. I really, really don't. But like, to me, it's where stuff belongs. Like all the Loomis stuff belongs in Phoenix, Arizona. You know, uh, all the my
Carrying
God,
cross stuff
all
belongs
stuff
to
belongs
Zan.
in Missouri. Yeah, or whatever. You
All the
know,
base sets up here.
yeah, exactly. So to me, when I saw him, and I think my bid was probably 25,000, something like that. I don't watch when auctions end, guys. Like seriously, like I've watched probably 5 auctions in my entire life, and one was when I was selling Andre through Golden in 2021. Like I just don't do it. Like I know what I will pay for it, and I put in my bid, and but I thought if I put in a $25,000 bid, I didn't think that somebody would go over that. Okay. Because a lot of these guys who got in early in the wrestling cards, like they don't seem willing to pay the higher prices now.
No.
Me, I don't know. Like I just believe in it. Like I believe in it. I'm not afraid to pay what I think something is worth. Okay. If I feel like I really have to have it.
Well, this is what I say to people all the time who have that mentality, is that people will make claims like, well, you overpaid for something. And I say to them, did I really overpay for it if I really wanted it?
Mhm.
Exactly.
Because it's mine. You don't dictate my wallet. You don't tell me what my value is. You don't tell me how I should be spending my money. So if I overpaid because you couldn't afford it.
Right.
But it's something I want, and I'm willing to pay more for it to have it.
And God bless some people like Joey are flush,
Yeah.
and are able to do these things. And we only go around once, So if it's something very special, a 1 of 1 or a 1 of 2 that you're never going to see again, and that little patch of wall isn't going to look ever as beautiful as it does now if there was something else there. So you got to do what you got to do, right?
Right.
Yeah, I think they're beautiful pieces of artwork behind them right there. That's what I think. So
yeah, I do too. I mean, I've put so much time and money into those 3 sets that to me they belong here in Atlanta. Honestly, as long as I'm alive, they'll be here. So, I don't know what happens after them, but I love them, man. Like I love them, and it's the only 83 sheet that's ever surfaced. But yeah, you're talking 1 of 1s, 1 of 2s, and I just love them, man. So
well, I'm not opposed to you adding me to your will at some point in time. That's just letting you know that right now.
Well, you're on a few wills, Tony. My will, Chuck's will. You're getting yourself around there.
Well, just trying to plant seeds here, baby.
well, you
Never
gotta
know.
Listen, Joey, congratulations on that. I
Absolutely.
remember Dawn and her father knew that the All-Stars themselves were doing well. They had no idea about the sheets. I had a feeling that it was going to be something. And I was just when you surfaced with them in a frame, I'm like, Joey, yeah. Boy.
I remember you and I, Paul, were talking about that almost daily, about new information about coming out. And when they hit the market, it was like, here we go.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like I thought that I would have had to pay a little more. But it worked out. And I mean, like I'm buying stuff every week. Like every week, there's not 1 week that goes by that I'm not buying stuff, man. And
well, you're not into just let's take a step back here for a second. It's not just the wrestling all-stars or that era stuff. You've been dabbling a lot in modern stuff too, which is
I like it all.
Great.
Like, yeah, I mean, I think it's crazy. The tribalism, I've never really understood vintage versus modern. I like wrestling.
Yeah.
Like, I enjoy wrestling.
100%.
So how are you going to hate on something? I don't get it, man. I don't get it. Everybody who's kind of in our community, for the most part, everybody seems like good people. I think there are some there's some guys, there's some outliers. But for the most part, everybody seems like good people. And I do not understand just how like combative everyone constantly is, you know? It's a hobby.
It didn't used to exist in our hobby, and the blame likes to be put on like, well, Panini took over, and because of Panini took over, now this whole new world of entry levels of people coming in are now creating these false markets and this and blah 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 blah. Anything that causes someone to feel threatened that their niche within the niche is being jeopardized feels like they need to try to downplay the other side, and it doesn't need to be that way. Just it's like you said, I like wrestling. Why not just collect everything that you love? Like, there are vintage guys and gals featured in modern products, and if you're into that, it's okay to collect your Macho Mans and your Ric Flairs and your Hogans and stuff like that, because they exist in our current product as well as the old stuff too, which is also awesome.
Yeah. I mean, you know, for the longest time, like, I never expected ever to recoup how much money I'd put into my wrestling card collection or to my collection in general. Like, I was just buying the stuff I loved, you know, but with wrestling cards, especially, like, I'm like, because I was the first guy on a lot of the low pop wrestling all-stars. Like, when I came in, I was the guy who just, like, I started winning all the auctions because I didn't really care what, I mean, honestly, back then I was just like, okay, I'm going to catch David Peck. Okay. So
tough goal.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to buy everything. I've got to stop him from buying everything. Okay, and away it goes, you know. But you know, I love it all, man. Like, you know, like with the Panini stuff, I collected Panini basketball stuff. I collected Panini soccer cards, you know, for years. So to me,
I saw you posted a gold Taker Prism the other day, and I'm like, yeah, you know, like nice mint pieces from across the board. You know, you dabble in everything, but you dabble in it at a very high level. And you know,
I mean, to me, like, yeah, I don't feel like you're ever gonna go wrong buying perfect, rare cards, whether they be modern or whether they be vintage.
That sounds familiar. That's Drake Magruder's strategy.
100%.
To a T. We're talking about this at the National. And it's funny you mentioned about how you throw out 25 on those sheets and got them for 16. I recall Drake's story on the one of one's Vince Superfractor Transcendent, which I believe is the modern card. And I think he did the same thing. He typed in 15 and went away and was happy to grab it for the 9 that he got him for.
Yeah, and that's the bargain.
That speaks to your mentality, that assuredness that, you know, we're going to set a number that we feel takes it, and I'll pay that if I have to, and if I get it for better, great, but I'm not going to shed a tear if I got to go full out on it. And I respect it, because I can't do that. I don't spend my figures on cards like you do and Danny does.
Bro, let me tell you something. It takes some balls. Sure. I mean, no, I'm not saying that you don't have balls. I'm just saying that, like,
I've spent that, believe me, on Panini base sets over the long haul. Trust me, I spent 5 figures and then some, but in one go. You know, like, for me to, you know, like, I have to keep that so quiet from the wife that if I spent that kind of money on one,
she has no idea. She has no idea, and that's, but honestly, my wife's really cool. She's really cool. She knows what I have.
But does she know that what that set behind you is worth on the wall?
She knows what it's worth. I probably didn't tell her.
Probably a good idea. I probably didn't tell her.
I might have forgot to miss that part.
Yeah, I probably didn't tell her how much. But
you just say, honey, I got a good deal.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it. Perfect.
But she also knows that I do pretty well, like, with this stuff. I mean, I've had some really good luck when I bought, and I don't sell a lot of stuff. Well, I take that back. I actually have an eBay store, so I really do sell a lot of stuff, but I don't sell a lot of important stuff to me. So, but she knows that when I have sold some stuff, I've done really well. So, you know, she does trust me. So,
do you find yourself to be it's a thought that came up. You find yourself to be super competitive?
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah.
Are you a super? I mean, are you by general, like, in life in general, are you a super competitive person?
Oh yeah, I'm always I always measure myself, man. Like, you know, it's funny. This is gonna sound so terrible. This really is. I always measure myself. I'm like, I want to be the most successful person in my high school graduating class. Okay, so, like, you know, I mean, I think that it's important you've got to challenge yourself. you've got to push yourself, so yeah, I'd say I'm pretty competitive.
Well, that leads right into what I wanted to talk to you about the PSA registry. And I know you guys were talking about that before. But one thing that really strikes me, I've never graded a card, because I'm a collector. I want the card, and for me, unless I'm going to flip it, then there's no point to grade it. Plus, I want it in a binder where I can pull it, I know where everything is. But I find that the PSA registry itself, just that database of all you guys, is fiercely competitive, and a lot of the pricing and a lot of what goes on is driven by that. You say yourself, you saw David sitting at number one, and you're like, oh, I'm the kind of guy that likes to be at number one, and away you go. There's a guy in Hawaii that sits at number two who I'd never heard of. And I asked David, I said, who's this guy? Marita or something like that. He said,
Right,
well, such and such in Hawaii. And I said, well, who is this guy? And he said, oh, he lays low, but he's a heavy hitter. And I'm like, yeah, I guess, if he's number two, you and Danny, constantly pointing up big time for these autographs. And I know you're doing it because you love the product, but how much of it is it that competition that's fostered on that registry?
Okay, so with the registry, with the three sets, three Wrestling All-Star sets, I mean, okay, so I've been doing this since, like I said, I think I've started in 2011. That's when I really started buying the graded Wrestling All-Stars. Okay, ask me your question again. I'm sorry. Repeat your question.
Is your motivation driven by partially, or is it winning on that registry as important as the acquisition of the card, of getting that one card that you don't have? Or
Okay. So
but I think version of it.
I think that your
Because
question,
it seems to me a lot of it is driven by that, like is by, okay, here's what this guy has, here's what that guy has, here's where I fit in, and I'd like to get to the next level.
It's almost one and the same. Okay, because back in 2011, 2012, 2013, even 2014, I was updating the sets pretty regularly. Okay. And I remember having a conversation, I want to say it was with Rob England around 2014, 2015. And I just said that, I said at the time, I was like, the thing that I think that will always hold the Wrestling All-Stars cards back is the fact that anybody who's just getting into it, like all of the top graded cards are locked away. So, I remember, because geez, man, back then, if it wasn't a 10 or a 9, it was nothing. It was nothing. It blows my mind today how we see, PSA 8s and even lower graded cards doing well. Okay. Like that blows my mind.
Well, like you said, though, because those 9s and 10s are locked away. The best anybody can get now are 7s and 8s. So now those are going to hold a premium price because that's also available to me as a collector.
Yeah. I want to say it was around 2014. Okay. There was a point with the registry. Okay. And I don't remember exactly what year it is. Actually, I want to say maybe it was around 2015 where they changed, instead of everything just being a straight grade, how they average your, like to get your weighted score, whatever, that they changed it up to where, like, if you had the highest graded card, you got extra points, where if you had a pop 1 of 1, you got extra points. Okay. And oh my God, when they did that, like I was kind of heartbroken at the time, because I went from in 83, in 2015, I was actually tied at number 1 with David Peck in 83 Wrestling All-Stars. Okay. And when they changed how they were doing the scores, I instantly fell to 2 again. And that was kind of heartbreaking. And honestly, like at that point in time, I kind of just backed off of it for a while. Like I was like, I'm never getting a chance to update my sets.
Oh, he took a blow to the gut, took a knee, and said,
I feel like they changed the rules.
Yeah,
I feel like we were operating with one set of rules, and then they changed them to something else. So I kind of just I took a break from it. I even sold some stuff. I think actually at that point I sold one of my Bruiser Brody PSA 10s. At the time, I want to say it was a pop 3. I had 2 of them. I think Dave had one. And I was just curious what one would sell for. And I sold it. And I was so disappointed because I want to say it brought $710. I think Ray from Hawaii bought it. This was in 2015. Yeah. So true. Again, disappointment, later on, probably a couple years later, I always keep my eye on if anything, is for sale or whatever. And anytime that there's a new card, that a card pops up that would, you know, improve my sets, I'm all over it. And then eventually, I think 2019, 2018, you know, that's when I started really getting back into it more, you know. But I think, again, with the Wrestling All-Stars, you know, because there are so few, you know, top level cards that pop up. I mean, honestly, in the past couple of years, there's been more than I ever would have expected. You know, like I bought a PSA 9 Greg Gagne this year that improved my 82B set. My God, Sergeant Slaughter, I think I bought last year, PSA 10. You know, that was like 7,000.
They're getting big money now. Like the,
Yep.
the
Yeah,
names like Putski and Slaughter and these kinds of
Yeah.
guys that are coming out in 9s and 10s, 10 specifically.
Yeah.
They're turning up on a monthly index because
Yep.
it's just so hard to find them. You know, if I asked you this question, is there a Hogan 10 out there?
No, absolutely not. I doubt it. I doubt it.
Yeah.
I
Unless
mean,
it's the one sitting upstairs in my binder. I tend to agree. I think it would have turned up by now, don't you think?
Well, are there uncut sheets still available? I tend to would have thought that they didn't exist, but oh well, they
You
showed
never
up.
know. They showed up.
Yeah.
It's just like the wrestling business, man. You never say never.
yeah, I mean, and I don't know.
Half a dozen more Rax roast beefs coming down the pike this year.
Probably.
I don't know how many sets you guys have ever opened of like the 82A, but the 82A, like most of the like when you pop one of those, like the cards are crisp, they're fresh. So I mean, could there be a PSA 10 Hogan? I mean, I guess it's possible, you know.
Anything's possible. Like,
Yeah,
because we would have seen it.
Highly
and it's something
unlikely,
we watch
but-
like Hawks anyways.
I think they grade them a lot. I think PSA grades them a lot tougher now than they did previously, you know, because you see some of the you see some of the, you know, the older slab PSA cards and some of the nines, man, some of the 9s or even 10s. I mean, some of them are a little questionable. And then you see some of the modern, you know, 8s or 9s, and you're like, Jesus, what happened? That's obviously a 10. You know, I mean, I've got a Hogan PSA 7 from the last sealed 82A set I had, and I mean, the card is a blazer, man. I mean, it's an absolute beauty. And like when I sent it in, I was like, this is going to be a 9. This could be minimum a 9. And nope, no dice. And you know, I don't see a flaw with it. So
Well, that's grading, right? I call it a racket sometimes, and I refer to it as that just because one day to the next, 1 hour to the next. Your grader got laid last night. You're getting a good grade in the morning. You know, that's how it goes. You know,
So
sorry, Tony. My experience with those is because I'm a set guy and I put them in binders. Is that the actual all-star cards are a little bigger than your average 3x5s. So once you jam them into a pocket, you best not want to be pulling them out. And I can see that my all-stars are firmly wedged 20 years later into that plastic. Now they're one. So I don't ever dare try and pull them out.
Oh, I just took all what my remaining ones. I just took them all out, put them in individual card savers, and put them in the display case.
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. So, but with that, then it's like, so you say you got heartbroken in 2015-ish eras like that because of the way their policy changes and how they, do the registries like that. I mean, where are you at now? Like on the registry, where are you at? What are your goals now going forward?
Okay, so I'm number 3 in 82A, okay, behind Dave and Ray. Number 2 in 82B, number 2 in 83B. What are my goals? If something comes up for sale, I'm gonna buy it. You know,
Right.
So, I just, like it's funny with 82A. I wish I'd have been more proactive, back when I first started. Like I had multiple opportunities, for instance, to buy Hogan PSA 9s at very reasonable prices. And I didn't because I was never a Hogan guy. Like I just didn't like Hulk Hogan. Okay. Because to me, again, he's WWF. I'm an NWA Georgia Championship Wrestling guy. I hate
he's the poster child of what you hate over the change.
Yeah, exactly. So like I specifically never like cared. Like when I should have been buying those cards, I was like, nope, I'm not going to. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to. I hate Hogan. In hindsight, stupid decision. But it is what it is. So with 82A, I mean, I don't think I could ever catch Dave. Dave has got, I mean, his 82A set is ridiculous. I mean, I just don't think the cards are out there to catch him. 82B, I think that it could be done. In 83, let's see, I was 1 card behind him. Okay, like in other words, if I'd improved my set by 1 card, I would have moved ahead of him. But I want to say he got a PSA 10 think it was a Fred Blassie that put him a card and a half ahead of me now. So we'll see. I've got,
But it's
Stay
within
tuned is
striking
what you're
distance
saying.
for you.
oh yeah. I mean, to me, it's always within sight. Like, and if any of those cards hit auction, let's do it.
Let's do it.
You're getting them.
That's right. No,
Well,
I'm
congratulations.
just curious. I'm curious. That's why I was just curious about the registry and the competitiveness of the registry. How much of that is still within something you're pursuing and wanting to do. It's like that. I know I see a lot of your posts on social media where you're constantly now you're posting a little bit of everything, which is so cool to see. But like in the background, are you still like really going after those wrestling all-stars? Are you still like, fuck it, I'm going after that number one spot. If it comes up, I'm grabbing it.
Okay, so for the longest time, okay, like I didn't even know how to get in contact with Ray from Hawaii. Okay, like I didn't. I mean, again, he's this name. Like he used to have an eBay store, and it was like Hysteric Garage or whatever. And he actually has one now too. And it's funny, the way I actually found him was I bought a card from him, and I didn't even know it was him at the time. It was like I want to say it was like an 83 PSA 10 Tully Blanchard that he was auctioning. And at the time, I didn't even know it was him. Okay. But then like when I get it at my house, the box is like Ray, whatever his last name is, and it's from Hawaii. So I'm just like, oh my God, this is the guy that I've literally asked other people for his contact info because I wanted to make him an offer on certain cards that he has, and nobody would really help me out. And whatever, whatever way it goes.
We want to invite him to be in Series B of the collector's card set. I said to Tony, I said, do you have a contact for Ray, the number 2 guy in the registry? No.
Nope.
So he's a guy that just likes to lay low. Before we get off these all-stars, let me just say congratulations, dude, on what you've accomplished sort of in that sphere. Never mind. I know it's all in good fun and you talk about being number one but just to be where you are at today amongst all the other people in the hobby that sort of are in that world and trying to get up that ladder. It's a pretty remarkable accomplishment. So
thank you. I appreciate that.
Well done on that.
Okay.
So what else we got? What we did with Alan the governor is we wrapped up by asking about a few interesting stories. He's a guy that meets a lot of people. So you
I've
being
got an interesting story about him. Do you want to hear it?
Sure, yeah. Let's hear it.
Let me grab something.
Just something randomly hanging on the table right there. Like, let me show you this.
It's right here. This is some of Alan's finest work, or should I say not finest work. Now, as you can see, I mean, he's a weird guy in my opinion. Okay. Like whatever, I was introduced. I was thinking about this when I saw that you guys did the interview with him last week or whenever it was. Last week, I think is when it came out. And, like, I don't remember exactly who introduced me to him. It was either Rob or Dave. And it was because I was looking for Brody autographs. It was, God, 2013, 2014, something like that. This one right here that I just showed, this actually came from Rob through Alan. It's never passed any authentication service, and I've tried every single one of them. And then I bought 2 Brody autographs, which they're around here somewhere. I don't know where. Directly from Alan. I actually posted them online a while back. To me, the guy's a crook. And again, we're all entitled to our opinion. He's a character for sure. But I bought 2 of them directly from Alan, but never again. I tried to authenticate him with PSA, BGS. Oh my God.
What? I do remember this. I do remember this thread of posts. I remember this now.
Yeah. And none of them have ever passed. Obviously Alan likes taking pictures with people. Little weird to me, it's a little weird, but to each their own. If that's your thing, you do it. I mean, I don't know what Alan offers the hobby these days. That's, he, whatever. But interesting stories. I don't know, guys. Interesting stories.
Has that ever happened with anybody else in your travels?
Well, I kind of want to know what's been the strangest acquisition you've ever gotten in cards like that? Like what's certain loophole, like weird ways, like, I wasn't expecting that, and then I ended up getting this or something like Maybe something you fell into by accident, or like you were surprised that you found something. And
I mean, okay, so this is, and this is probably not what you're looking for, but like, okay, so like 2014, I might have been the only guy in the world, maybe besides you two guys, buying Topps Chrome WWE. Okay. And I bought a lot of it, dude. Like a lot of it. And most of it, I mean, I think from Target. Okay. Like I think I would just hit Target. But like I have so many like what I call common boxes or whatever that I just shove that stuff in forever. And the amount of gold cards I found in there a couple of years ago blew my mind, because all the 2014 Topps Chrome gold cards that are celebrated and they're huge today and we're all grading them and they're great, they were nothing when they came out. I mean, literally nothing. And they were nothing special. I never thought they would be anything special. And, you know, I found them in my commons boxes, which I love to go through, man. But I found them in my commons boxes a couple of years ago and got them graded. And Jesus, most of them graded 9s or 10s, you know?
Yeah, we both, Tony and I both have complete refractor sets that we didn't really.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's funny because we both rediscovered them recently, where it's like, wow, this is a complete refractor, and these refractors are going for like 50, 70 bucks a piece on some. And then Tony found, and he had, or was it the X-fractor? Sorry,
I have a complete, I have 1.5 sets of refractors. Well, more than one. I'm actually about 7 cards
what's the
short of a
top
second.
one before the super? It's the X-fractor.
X-fractors.
Yeah, we
I'm
have
about,
complete sets of those, and
I'm
you
about
couldn't get
9
that
cards
today.
away from another set of those.
You had to have a
get
bunch
those
of gold
today, right?
then, right?
Huh?
You had to have a bunch of the gold refractors too, then.
If I did, I got rid of them.
Really? Yeah,
If
like
I did, I got rid of them.
I've got that one Mickey I sent you the other day. I was looking to see if there was any more, and that was the only gold I could find. But lots of that parallel stuff. And I don't normally do parallels, which means at the time it was gettable cheap because I wouldn't I'd never overspend.
Which then leads me to ask you.
Flip side of you, Joey.
It leads me to ask you, Joey. Then, so you say back then these were nothing. Nobody cared about them. It weren't a big deal. So what changed? What made them? What people care about them so much, in your opinion?
Made people care about them so much. I mean, honestly, it all coincided with COVID in 2020. I mean, that's when they kind of blew up. What made them? Probably
Like, do you think the Panini stuff and people like, oh, shiny gold stuff in Panini, which was what they're known for, may, like, you know what, Topps did that too, and those are some really killer cards.
I guess. I mean, you know, here's what's interesting. Okay, so with Panini, before the like, I'm not going to bullshit you. Like, I thought with the first Panini Prism set, I thought it would be huge as well, and I still think, actually, in the end, I think it will be huge. Okay, because look at first year Panini Prism from every other sport. Okay, look at how well it does. You know, and yeah, when they first came out, man, the boxes were ridiculously.
Oh yeah,
I paid ridiculous prices, dude. I mean, I mean, just yeah, I was one of the guys who paid probably $1,300 for the first time. Yeah, you know, but again, I had fun with it. You know what I mean? I think with any, like, you know, those cards along with any boxes, you know, I get tired of opening. Like this weekend, I was opening the AEW Metal Universe. You know what I mean? And like, I had 4 boxes.
I saw your post on that.
Yeah, and like, you know, after a minute, it just gets boring, because when I first start, like, I'm sleeving like mostly everything, and then by the 4th box, man, I'm literally sleeving like 2 or 3 cards out of the box. You know,
you're like, I'll just stack them. I'll sleeve that stuff later.
Yeah, exactly. In the AEW Metal Universe, those cards are probably the worst to do that with, because they flake so easily. But again, another fun set, you know.
Did you end up with a lot of error cards on the base side?
The only one that I noticed, I had one of the, oh my God, one of the
PMGs?
The Mark, oh my God, the Mark Sterling, where it's
the long
or whatever. Yeah. I had one of
them like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only one that I noticed. I didn't really know what error cards to be looking for. So
we have stay tuned. We have an update coming up about all that stuff pretty soon.
Yeah. I bought
a monthly, which will be out soon.
I actually bought the first first MJF PMG that got posted on eBay, not yesterday, the day before, Sunday.
Okay.
Seen so far.
You're gonna go try and make a play for the guy who didn't even know he pulled a 1-of-1 MJF.
Dude, if he would post it for sale, I would buy it. Like, if he would, like I'm gonna tell you, man, I am not one of those guys. And not that there's anything wrong with like trying to work your back channels to get stuff to find out who has. And I applaud the guys who do that. Okay, I'm not that guy. If you want to sell it, either you can offer it to me, or you can put it for sale with the auction houses or put it on eBay. I will make you money. but it's just not me. You know, not that there's anything wrong with that. I just know what I'll do and what I won't do. But I would love to give him like 7,500 for it, maybe.
Yeah.
You
you heard it, guys. Hey,
There it is.
if you're looking to sell it, here's
I'll
the
let you know.
chance.
This guy's got cash and whatnot, so he's your guy.
Yeah.
Before we started talking here off air, we were talking about the WCW autographs and the legitimacy of some of the signatures. Talk to us about that, Joey. What are your thoughts on? I know your thoughts, Tony.
You know,
I'm gonna keep my mouth shut.
Yeah.
Hey, so okay, first of all, I like the cards. I've got quite a few of them. I mean, and throughout time, like what's funny is I actually have seen a bunch of the cards that I previously graded, like in Jamie's collection now. You know, it's a weird thing. It's a weird thing to bring up, okay? Like just, and I don't mean from you guys, I just mean in general. Do I think, I mean, I think that anything in our hobby can be questioned, okay? But it's, you know, why? I mean, why are we doing this? Like, why are we questioning? You know, I'll say this right here, okay? So the picture that you posted with the Nash signatures, okay? I showed it to my wife. She's not a handwriting expert or anything. And she thought they were different. Okay, she did. I looked at them. I thought they were the same. Okay. So, I mean, I think that, you know.
Oh, you sound like you have all the qualifications to be a professional grader.
There you go.
Exactly. Your wife does.
I mean, you know, here's the thing. Like, if you're going to forge signatures, I mean, Jesus, dude. Kevin Nash in 1998 or whatever, that's the one you're forging? I don't know, man. I think I don't understand why we have constantly have all this controversy in our hobby. Like, I don't really get it. I don't get why we're always all divided. You know, if you love wrestling, man, you love wrestling. You know, you know, maybe you don't watch modern wrestling. You know, I watch a lot less wrestling today than I have previously.
I have to watch it, so unfortunately.
You know, I always keep up with it. I listen to so many podcasts, dude. You know, and I'm sounding terrible because now you probably think I don't watch wrestling. I didn't get the AEW pay-per-view Sunday. It's probably the first one that I haven't gotten, you know.
But it's okay though, because a lot of us are that way too. We keep up because social media allows us to keep up with any sport via the highlights.
I
So
didn't do it because there was one the week before. The Wembley one was $50, and I wasn't going to spend $50 for another one. You know.
that's how I keep up with it. I mean, until I opened the store, and months ago when I put the TV in here, it's like that. I hadn't watched wrestling in probably 15 years. You know, and when I'm talking to some of the talents like that, we don't even talk about wrestling either. We talk about sports and politics and news and family and all that other good shit. But you know, I only keep up with it for the most part because of social media. Oh, you gotta check out that MJF promo. It was hot. Okay, I'll go find a video of it and watch it. Oh, yeah, check out this Trish Stratus and Becky Lynch match. It was freaking awesome. Another cage match. All right, I'll go watch it because you said it was great. So that's exactly. Pretty much what I do now. So I keep it like any other sport. I don't watch baseball games or football games, but I keep myself immersed in it by highlights. Everything is a sports center to me now.
Yeah. No, for real, man. No, I love football. Okay, like I love my Georgia Bulldogs, man. So I've watched every minute of every one of those games. Always will. When it comes to wrestling, like, man, I love it. Like I've really liked MJF stuff probably most the past few years. WWF has gotten a lot better recently. The whole Bloodline stuff was fantastic. What happens next, though? You know, I mean, they're hot right now, which is definitely good for your store. I mean, I think, you know, and it's really interesting right now is also because, you know, in the 90s, we everybody's looking at the ratings, but with everything you just said, Tony, like, you know, that's not a good measuring system anymore.
It really isn't.
No,
it really isn't. I mean, it's so antiquated because, you know,
I think a good measuring system now is going to be about merch. What's making your company money? Because you would think that here, you know, maybe Roman Reigns would be popular like that. And here's what's funny is that for my store, if I have something that's got the Usos on it, it's like that. Anything that's Usi, you know,
Yeah.
the bloodline, if it's got Roman Reigns picture on it with the Usos, it's less likely to sell as just opposed to having the Usos.
Interesting.
Usos are probably my most sellable characters are going to be Jimmy and Jay, outside of Eddie Guerrero, because Eddie is buried out here in Scottsdale, Arizona. So he has kind of a following out here.
My
So
brother-in-law lives in
so
Scottsdale.
it's just outside of him, Usos sell the best. But you know, it's also about out of sight, out of mind type of stuff too. So with Cena coming back, I'm getting interest in John Cena stuff. Oh, do you have John Cena? Well, he wouldn't sell before. Now he's all of a sudden of interest. Talking with my distributors, like having The Rock. Hey, how does The Rock sell for you, Tony? You know what? It doesn't sell that well for me. You know, I'm hearing that from a lot of other stores that I service as well. And I think it has a lot to do with the fact the younger generation only knows him as an actor, not a wrestler.
Yeah.
And I said, that's probably very true. But, and then, you know, Mysterio still sells well because it depends. I'm also in that Phoenix, Arizona area. We have a good, strong Latino market. They like, you know, Rey Mysterio. So it all depends on different things. So yeah, it's all about merchandise. I mean, look who's the top 3 selling right now is LA Knight. And that's, people coming in, they clean me out of my t-shirts because it's all LA Knight stuff. I can't keep his stuff in stock.
What do you think of LA Knight?
People might make you know, oh well, he's just a knockoff Rock and Stone Cold, and that's a bad thing.
Yeah,
We
so
love
what?
those guys. That's a
So
bad
what?
thing.
You know,
So what?
you know,
Yeah,
I
people
mean,
love them, you know, but
if The Rock and Stone Cold could get together and have a baby,
yeah,
it's LA Knight.
these guys dream of getting heat and whatever, you know, we no one saw Dominic Mysterio coming, you know,
Nope.
we didn't see the heel heat that he was going to be generating. And of course, it's thanks to Rhea in large part. And I don't think a lot of people saw LA Knight, you know, when he was Eli Drake and when he was doing the Max Male Models thing. I didn't see, but then he opened his mouth and it's like, oh, you know, he can talk. And you know, we should be happy that every once in a while a Daniel Bryan comes along, or an LA Knight, some guy that sort of dubbed it by us.
Sure.
And carries this thing forward, you know.
Hey,
Yeah.
weird story.
Dirty Dom does really good here too. Dirty Dom does good.
Dirty Dom. First of all, Dominic is that's awesome. Like the heat that he's getting, that's something that hasn't been seen in a long time, dude. That's pretty badass. Okay, so
I probably do well with Eddie Guerrero stuff here because, you know, his son is now, you know, becoming such a big star.
Correct. Yeah. Joey, before we sign off, I want to thank you on something else. Not just your posts of wrestling cards and wrestling collectibles, but you're obviously a bourbon man.
Yeah.
yes, sir, baby.
I love your pictures on a
brown
Sunday
water.
afternoon when you're about to watch your Bulldogs game and you show the ice in the glass. And I'm not a whiskey guy; I'm a lightweight. But I must say I do enjoy some of your off wrestling posts. Of Joey enjoying himself on a Sunday afternoon by himself.
The one thing that the Georgia Bulldogs fan base really does is we love our bourbon, dude. Like that's like tailgating at games. That's kind of where I kind of got into it. And believe it or not, I actually don't drink that much. But you kind of get to appreciate.
Cody doesn't believe you.
I swear to God, I don't. I swear to God. In fact, you know what's funny? Growing up, I didn't drink at all. Like, to be honest. But again, started going to Georgia games. You start tailgating, and it's just one of those things that are there.
Be accepted.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing about it is you know, bourbon, good bourbon is like anything else. I mean, there's your Pappy Van Winkles, you know, where a bottle that's, you know, 7,500. But again, I have a hard time spending $7,500 on something that I'm going to drink.
Sure.
So, but I'm perfectly okay. Like, you know, some of the bottles that I post, like, I mean, Blanton's, you know, you can get a good Blanton's for probably going to pay around $150. When it's $60 manufacturer's suggested retail price, you're never going to find it. It's an allotted bourbon, you know. I like anything from Buffalo Trace Distillery, which Blanton's is from, Elmer T. Lee. Anyway, yeah, love some bourbon, man. Brown water, baby.
You should do a whole podcast on bourbon talk.
Yeah.
Bro, you really really could, man. I mean, it's really, but it's just like anything else. It's just like any other, you know, form of collectibles, really. Like I've got wine down in the cellar, like, that I've been buying for years. I've got bottles of bourbon that will never get cracked open. I mean, maybe one day they will, but like, again, it's just stuff to hold. It's more shit to collect.
It's true.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I love it all, man. Like, I love every bit of it, dude. And
No, it's
wrestling,
because you're living your life, man, and that's just
Yeah.
what's fun about it. Is that you're living your life on your terms and how you want to do it, and you're enjoying yourself, and how you spend your money is how you spend your money, and that's
there's
great.
there's no wrong way to collect, and that's
No.
and God, if anybody gets anything out of this, guys, seriously, like, there is no wrong way to collect. If you like independent wrestling cards, buy independent wrestling cards. If you like, modern shiny stuff, buy that stuff. If you like the vintage stuff, buy that stuff. Maybe it's all good. Like,
Yep.
it's all good. It's all wrestling, and it's fun. And if
Yep.
you're not having fun in this hobby, you're either A, doing it wrong, or B, it's just not for you, because
Yeah.
That's
it's
why we're
fun,
here,
man.
presumably,
This is
right?
fun.
It's
Yeah,
supposed to be a good
exactly.
time for us. There's other things we could be doing, but we
Yeah.
love this. We love the hobby. We like hanging out with each other.
It's kind of
And
what Paul and I do for the last,
sure.
collectively over 30 plus years, so.
Yeah.
And we've enjoyed it. But Joey, listen, man, you've been it's been great having you. And I got to say, you've been an infectious sort of member of the hobby, insofar as the way the way you acquire stuff, your posts with your booze, your thoughts in general. You're a great guy to have in
Thanks,
the
man. I
hobby.
appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
I was really happy when Paul says, "Hey, you want to do one with Joey Graben just like that?" I said, "He's going to come on." He says, "Yeah." He said he would come on. I'm like, "Fuck yeah, let's do this, man. This is awesome."
Yeah, no, I wish we'd have done it sooner, man. You guys are fun.
Well,
Your
what
podcast
we're
is
doing
great.
now is we're trying to do a series just with getting into the personalities. We've talked about all the issues, we've talked about all the releases, Panini, this and that. Now let's talk about Joey Graben, what he
I'm gonna
does.
say this right here, and I'm gonna actually point this out and thank you guys. Okay, so what was great about about the collector's set that you guys did? Okay, what I really appreciated, and I'm sure that, and I didn't really think about it until afterwards, but I'm sure it was intentional on your end. It got collectors talking to each other
Yes.
that we didn't know, like, that I didn't know. You know,
Was it intentional, Tony?
I don't think it was no, but it wasn't intentional by us at all.
So
No,
much good shit happened out of that we didn't count on.
No.
The autographs, the sharing of the medals really blew my mind, because I thought,
Yeah.
I remember when I held my medal card, I said, well, nice seeing it, and off I sent it to Tony.
Yeah.
Not thinking that it would come back to me. Everybody ended up getting their medal cards. Everybody appreciated signing. And the main thing is that a lot of guys, not everyone knows everybody, but now you can put faces to names, and you can
right, and that was what was cool, man.
capture this time in the hobby where we're all together at a sort of inflection point where wrestling went from something sort of in the shadows to something that's almost got critical mass, is almost mainstream. Shit, we did a heck of a job at the National, got a lot of love there. Next year's gonna be twice as big, and we'd love to see you, by the way, in the flesh, Joey. If you can ever come and join us, and I'll buy you a bourbon at the bar. It's just a good time. It's just a good time, and that's what it is for us. And Tony and I talk about it all the time. It's the people, that's why we don't like it when we see squabbles. And we know that everyone's got not all personalities always jive together, but by and large we do, and we're respectful of each other, and we appreciate each other, and we appreciate you. So thanks again, Joey, for joining us, and good luck with your
Thank you.
next acquisition.
Pleasure, gentlemen.
Take it easy. Take it easy on some of us people that have to work for a living still.
Yeah.
Right
stay away from Loomis, would you? Just stay the fuck away.
Yeah, stay away from
Loomis.
the base sets too.
Absolutely, brother. Gentlemen, it's been fun.
Yeah.
So before I let we go, how can people find you, Joey? What are your
at Joey_Graben on Twitter or X or whatever. That's how. Yeah.
Are we calling it X yet, or are we still calling it Twitter? I still think of it as Twitter.
I don't know. I don't even know, man. I still call it Twitter, to be honest.
Yeah, I still think of it as Twitter, even though I look at the X every day.
Yeah, me too.
Tony, MrWrestlingTradingCards.com.
That's it. You nailed it right there, buddy. WrestlingTradingCards.com. Over 20 years of providing checklist information on the great hobby of wrestling cards. You can find all the social media handles in the bottom of every single page.
Yep.
My name's Paul Anand. I run the Wrestling Card Price Guide. Thanks, guys, for watching, and we'll be back at you soon.